Spring comes and I just want to get outside. Got a little studio and I just started making up my own scenes. That's how I got into this kind of magical realism. I just started drawing whatever I felt like drawing, and buildings, highways, and I kind of like to draw that way. Just kind of make my own stuff up, you know, make it look the way I want it to look. And I know when it's done is when I'm like, I like it, and it's done. But I just loved charcoal. But I was a senior in college, and my illustration teacher, Susan Waters-Ellis, was like, wait, you need to really start putting color into your work. And I'm like, okay, hey, take a pastel and put a pastel in your black and white. So I took blue and put it on the cool sides of this illustration I was working on. I loved it. And so then I started adding some warm colors on the warm sides, and next thing you know, I was working full charcoal and haven't stopped since. I've been using charcoal since, what was that, 1982 to the present. So what, almost 40 years now? Wow. Get up there. When all the walls are empty, it inspires me to fill all the walls. And then once all the walls are filled, I'm like, okay, now I need to get this out of here and fill the walls again. So it's a good inspiration to live in a house like this with all my work around. So when I was in Boston, there was a job doing a mural on the side of a huge mall, which was being built, Cambridge Side Galleria. And there was like 10 people in the running for it. You had to draw up plans, what it would look like. We all met with the developer of the mall and all these people, and they chose my design to be on the side of the mall, which was going to be it's the size of a football field. So that was my biggest mural I've done. So I hired 2 people, and we got a huge machine and painted away for 2 months and completed it in 2 months. And it was only going to be there for a year because they were building a big building there, but with the economy, I guess that fell through. And so it was there for over 10 years. And then they finally built a building, and that was the end of the mural. But I kept doing murals. I did a great mural for the Boston Duck Tours, right on the Prudential Center, and that was there for quite a few years. And a lot of murals in restaurants and that kind of thing. But murals kind of took a lot of time, a lot of work. And I decided, maybe I'll take a break from murals. And I thought, what could I do? And I started looking for jobs, and there was a job at an after-school program down in Chestnut Hill. So I applied for that, and I got that. And it was great because I could work afternoons and have the rest of my time free to create. I'd work in the morning, or I'd go to my studio at night, and worked at this after-school program with kids for 15 years, which I love doing. And I did that until I moved to Maine, until we bought a farmhouse up in Maine. And when I moved up here, I started working on children's books. And it took me quite a few years to get my first children's book. Window Music, back in 1997. I guess that was when I got the book, signed contracts, and it took me about a year to do the book. And it won a New York Times Best Illustrated, and it was featured in Time magazine as one of the best children's books of 1998, which was kind of cool. That was like a really good start. And then when I get a book, that's got 18, 19 pieces in it. And that when I do a book, I work it as a whole one piece. So I'll have all pieces at the same time, building up. It's a good reward to see a book afterwards, and makes me feel good and kind of validates me as an artist. And I really like doing books because it does make, being an artist is a very lonely career, and you don't get a lot of validation. So it's kind of like, sometimes you need that. And I've always learned that with children's books, to keep it simple, keep the composition simple. And I tend to put a lot in. And so I'm constantly like, okay, don't have so much in, take some stuff out, make it simpler. Which some of my best artwork, I think, is the simpler pieces. There's always stuff I could change in all my work, I think. But I don't, I just keep going. I know some artists that just pull out a painting a year later and keep working on it. I do have paintings out there that are 20 years old that I'm still working on, but I feel like once a piece is done, I've got to move on. And it's like, it is what it is. It's that time. It's funny when I take older pieces out to clean them up, I find myself like almost getting too carried away with adding color. I'm like, okay, no, this is from then. I got to keep it looking just like that because that's a period of time. And if I change it, it's going to look too much like today, and I don't want to do that. So you got to be really careful on that. It's just a process. You just keep developing. Some of the oldest painters always say they're just, they're at their end of their careers and they feel like they just started. So I love doing this. it's fun. You know, I'm never going to retire. I'll just keep doing this as long as I can. As long as I can keep my hands going and have my eyesight. And then I have thought, well, I could go paint with my feet.